Indian music is rooted in deep traditions. From as early as the 15th century, there have been two major traditions in Indian classical music: Hindustani from the north and Carnatic from the south. Carnatic is more structured, more rhythmically intricate, and Hindustani is more folky and more improvisational. But the two have some significant overlaps, mainly in the Raga and the Tala, the foundation of Indian classical music. In the Western world, we might equate a raga to a scale, but that's a bit of an unfair definition. There can be many ragas based on the same scale, but each can have a different set of rules or a different order to the notes or their own unique characteristics. They contain the 7th degree of a scale: Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha and Ni. These notes are known as the Svara. Tala measures time and a structure of beats. Tala do cycle and repeat like a Western time signature, but they can be much more sophisticated. The word literally means clap, and the time is often kept by clapping or tapping fingers on the hand, or by a small cymbal or percussion instrument. You have common talas for groups of 3, 4, 5, 7 and so on. But you also have hundreds more talas for different rhythmic combinations and more complex or more rare cycles. One area where the Indian classical music really stands alone is in the use of a system of syllables, specifically for percussion instruments, called konnakol. Konnakol is spoken word percussion, with the different syllables spoken for different sounds that the percussion instruments could make. These syllables then translate to the actual percussion instrument, meaning it's possible to recite konnakol with the voice and then directly duplicate it on a drum afterwards. Learning this creates a foundation for Indian musicians to imagine complex subdivisions and patterns in their mind before playing them, and even recall a pattern exactly afterwards. Let's have a look at the different roles that the various instruments have in the culture of Indian music. We have used this as the basis for the folder structure of the library too, such as a category for the drawn instruments like the tanpura, the harmonium and the shruti box. Indian classical music is always over a drone, with the drone sounding the tonic of the raga and also the 5th or sometimes the 4th. The drone means a performer will always be in tune to the key they perform in, and it can be as simple as a singer accompanying themselves with the tanpura. Let's look at some percussion. As well as each having their own system of mnemonic syllables for each sound of a drum, Indian percussion instruments can also be loosely organized into northern and southern usage. For example, in the north, Hindustani music used the tabla, and the Carnatic music in the south used the mridangam. You're unlikely to ever hear the two playing together, as each are the primary percussion instruments of their style. We also have ghatam and kanjira from the south, khol from the north, and a few instruments that bridge the gaps like the more folk-based dhol, dholak, and tambourine played Indian style, rhythmically with the finger instead of being shaken. These instruments that have less distinction in classical style often find their way into the Indian pop music and of course into the Indian film soundtracks. And while you might hear less of the more classical instruments like tanpura, you hear an entirely new and unique thing: the sound of an Indian string section. Along with the voice and the solo instruments, the strings shoulders a lot of the melodies in modern Indian music. And the sound of strings in Indian movies is a very different style to a Western orchestral section. The performances are filled with ornamentation, with glissandi and melodic expression. You will find that Indian melodies and the instruments playing them all tend to emulate the human voice. And this type of vocal fluidity and expression is all over Indian music, and never less so than when the bansuri is playing. We have a great interview with Naveen Kumar, who played the bansuri for Svara. So definitely go and check that out for some great stories about the bansuri. With Svara, we are bringing a collection of instruments together that is just as happy playing modern music as it is classical. We hope that you all enjoy diving into the Indian culture with these instruments and experimenting with the sonic fingerprint of Indian cinema in your compositions.